Carolyn, would you come up and introduce your speaker today?
Yes, I have Phil and Pete to thank for getting Larry to come with us today, because I didn't have a program. Most of y'all know Larry Clemens. He graciously comes every year and tells us about all of the changes before football season and all the things that the UIL has decided to do. So I'm going to let Larry come on up and he can tell you anything else about himself that you want to.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'm going to be over here because I've got to operate the computer. So we've got two televisions up here. Okay, today we're going. It's on my computer, but it's not up here. It was. Anyway, what we're going to do today is going to go over the rule changes. As I've told you before, the even numbered years are rule change years. The odd number of years are years where if there's a safety related issue, well then they do modify and change rules and so forth in odd number of years. But this was a rule change year. And there's been the biggest rule change, and we'll go over a little bit, it lasts 23 minutes, but I'm not going to bore you with 23 minutes. And like I told Coach Metzel when I saw him here, this is an abbreviated version of when I go talk to them, it's a little bit more detailed because they get involved in a little bit more.
Where's your, it shows you just that card. Where's the?
Go to get rid of that. That's what I thought. Okay, go to Gmail. Go where this is all.
I don't know, that's what it's usually.
They're up here, they're over here.
Go to the third from the bottom.
Right there. There we go, okay. Okay, good, thank you. That's what, but it's not up there.
It was, YouTube,
Huh.
Well, we've got what I want up, but it's for some reason it's not oh, it's on. It's on.
No, it's right here. Versus 60.
Let's see. But anyway, while they're figuring this out, one of the biggest changes this year was the blocking below the waist, and this is a rule that has been it's been going through a evolution for the last 15 or 20 years, and I think they finally got it right. I don't know why they couldn't have done this 15 or 20 years ago, but it's taken them all this time to. I mean, there was a point about 10 years ago where we couldn't even call blocking below the waist because we didn't even know what it was, you know. So it was really, really confusing, but they've broken it down to where it's pretty easy to call these days. So.
It's not passing through this piece that we were talking about.
Oh, yeah?
In mine is actually in my office, the block that it'll pass through.
Hey Larry, while you're waiting, why does it matter to block below the waist?
It's a safety issue. A lot of knee injuries, that's where they found that most of the knee injuries were coming from blocks below the waist.
So the blocker has to nearly be standing up and block.
Well, no, I mean, as long as you get, there's certain people that can block below the waist, and I wish I could show you, but I'm not gonna be able to, I'm just going to tell you about it, so. So let's just, I don't know what to do. So anyway, here's the new setup. I'm blocking below the waist. Let me get my sheet, Brandon. Okay, basically, everybody, you've heard me talk about the tackle box from time to time. And the tackle box is a box, and it's 5 yards from where the ball is snapped. Okay, so 5 yards either side of where the ball is snapped, all the way back to the end line of the offense. So you've got this box going back that way. They've also extended it to 1 yard in advance of the neutral zone. So basically, if you've got a traditional formation of a center, guards, and tackles, that would be the tackle box. Now, you can't spread them out. Now, if you've got a 3 yard gaps between your tackles and guards, he could conceive the tackle could be out of the tackle box, okay? And he wouldn't be able to block below the waist. But here's the new setup. As long as you're in the tackle box and the ball's in the tackle box, you can block below the waist, but there's certain parameters that are involved in this. So like I said, in the traditional formation of the guard, the center, the guards, and the tackles, at least 5 yards from where the ball snapped, all those guys can block below the waist, but they can only block below the waist on their initial charge or their initial surge. So if I'm a tackle and I'm standing here and my initial surge, that's my initial surge, I can block below the waist. I can't turn around and do this and then come back and block below the waist. And I can block I can block on the side. That's the key point right there, is that those individuals, those interior linemen can block on the side, from the side, okay, or from the front. Now, let's say that in a tight end, and I'm going to say this and then I'm going to change what I said, a tight end can never be in the tackle box, except if we have what we call an unbalanced line, where we have tackle over, I think is what it's called, tackle over. If you have two tackles on one side, then the tight end lines up next to the guard on one side and is in the tackle box, then he has the same rights as those five traditional guys. He can block below the waist from the side as well. So basically what it is nobody can block below the waist from the side unless you're a lineman on your initial surge and you're in the tackle box and the guy you're blocking is in the tackle box. You can block below the waist from the front or the sides. Now let's say we have a wingback or a halfback or whatever you want to call them. In order for that person to block below the waist, he has to be getting part of the lineman that's closest to him. So if you've got center, guard, tackle, and this is the tackle right here, and this is the outside part of his leg. Well, if I'm the tailback or the halfback, I've got to be shading part of his body. That puts me in the tackle box. But that person can only block in the tackle box from the front, or as we call it, the 10 and 2 area. Okay. So let's say he comes across the formation and blocks an incoming linebacker from the side, then you got a foul, okay? So now if that guy's lined up, if I'm lined up here and I'm that same back and I go in and do that block from the front or the side, then that's an illegal block. And any back in motion, if you've got say they put a guy in motion and he comes across the formation and he blocks below the waist in the tackle box or outside the tackle box, it's an illegal block because you have to be stationary. It has to be a stationary back, okay? So guy in motion comes in, blocks low, doesn't matter if it's on the front, side, or whatever, it's an illegal block. If that back's lined up in the tackle box and he goes outside the tackle box and blocks below the waist, it's an illegal block. It doesn't matter if it's from the front, from the side, or whatever, it's an illegal block. Let's see, defensive lineman. This is a pretty big change here. Up until this year, Coach Messel's heard about the 5-yard buffer zone for the defense to block below the waist. That's gone. The only time a defender can block below the waist if he's lined up on the line of scrimmage, within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, and he's stationary, then he can block below the waist. Other than that, they can't block below the waist. So there, you can see that you can still, now you still can't, now the lineman, the original lineman, even, although they can block below the waist, they can't clip. And the definition of a clip is below the knee. They're going to, in that case, they can't get below the knee. That would be a foul. So that's basically blocking below the waist, kind of in a nutshell. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's kind of it. And like I've told you before, you guys aren't going to see most of this stuff. It's just going to happen, and unless you're really into what's going on out there, you probably won't even notice it, okay? But that's basically blocking below the waist. I wish I had a couple of videos that I wanted to show, but I can't show them. Okay, the next change, and I had this play up, is a simulated slide. How many of you were watching the ACC championship game last year when the Pittsburgh quarterback was in the first quarter with 13 minutes to go in the first quarter? He takes off and runs, and he runs for about 15 or 20 yards, and then you know about the slide. You know the runners can slide now, and they're protected when they slide. Well, he fakes a slide. I can remember watching it on television, and I screamed at the television saying, "He faked a slide," and kept running for a touchdown. Well, I think the crew on the field, there was no way that they could, there was no rule about it, but common sense prevailed, and I think they pulled the touchdown back. I don't remember that. But now, if a runner simulates, and this will never happen again. It happened one time, and it'll never happen again. But they had to put a rule in there to make sure that it doesn't. But if a runner's running and he fakes a slide, well, then he's down right there.
All right.
Oh, good.
Hey, good job, Brandon.
Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Just let it. Look, now I've got my times over here. Okay, thanks. Okay, let's move it. There, I got him muted. Just a little review. Okay, that's the tackle box right there. That's a traditional formation right there. That's the tackle box. And then you can see we've got our quarterback and running back. They're eligible to block low, but only from the front, the 10 and 2 area. Wingback, you got your wingback over here. Like I told you before, he's shading the tackle there, so he's eligible to block below the waist. And you can see here in the next slide. That's where I'm talking about. They can block side from the side or in the front, and the tackle box extends 1 yard. So that kind of gives you an idea. Let's look at a live play here. Here's a one-on-one right there. Okay, watch the guard and the tight end and the tackle, number 74. Watch them. Okay. Now, what just happened was number 74, the tackle, he blocked below the waist, but everything was cool because he was in the tackle box. The guy blocked was in the tackle box. That's him right there. Everybody was good, so he can block below the waist. That was his initial charge. So he was okay. Now your tight end over here, he goes and he blocks below the waist. Last year that was okay. This year this is an illegal block. You can't do that because he wasn't in the tackle box. This guy here was over here, and he shifted over here. So what we're saying here, Coach Metzel, is don't make us put this guy behind that tackle, you know? Because I know Coach is sitting there thinking, well, we have a reason for having him right there because we want to spread him out or do this or do that. But if you look where the umpire is and where the center judge is and the referee's way over here, you know, it's hard for us to determine whether he's getting shading part of that tackle or not shading part of that tackle. So don't put us in the position to do that. What's it hurt to move him over just like 3 or 4 inches, you know, to get, so he's shading the part of that tackle. Don't, you know, but anyway, he's going to go block over here, and that's going to be an illegal block because he's outside the tackle box. I'll show you. Well, I thought I'd show you, but I'm sorry this is messed up, but it is. Well, anyway, he will go on to the next. Yeah. There we go. Let's get it on back over there. Okay, there. Well, anyway, take my word for it. That's what he did. These are different backs. Well, we're not going to go through all this. We're going to go to the 24:35 mark. So let's go to the 24:35. We're going to speed through this. 24:35. There we go. Okay. So basically, we're leaving that. Would have been better if this would have been a PowerPoint, but it didn't come as a PowerPoint. So. Here we go. Brandon, could you come up here and operate this?
I'll do my best.
I think and here's the defensive alignment I was telling you about. They're legal to block from the side on the defense. That's where they have to be. And here's the time right here. We want to go to the 24:35 mark. There, right there. That was the play right there. Okay, that's fine right there. Okay, now we want to start it. Okay, so one of the rule change here, they added this. Anytime a ball carrier simulates or fakes a feet first slide, the ball should be declared dead by the on-field officials at this point. And the play, I wanted to show you. Just let it run, and I'll just, when it comes up. Okay, hopefully we'll find it in a minute. Okay, the next rule change, it doesn't really affect the rule, it just affects the penalty that's involved. And that's anytime a player gave a fair catch signal, and he didn't touch the ball, and he went out and blocked, it was a 15-yard penalty. Here he comes right here, watch, right there. That's a fake, right? There, he faked the slide right there. So that ball's going to come back, to that point. So we'll let it run, maybe it'll catch up with us. Anyway, blocking for a fair catch. If you give a fair catch signal and the guy that gives the signal does not touch the ball, then that's a penalty. And like I said, up until this year, it was a 15-yard penalty, which put it in the line of a personal foul, Rule 9 penalties, which are personal foul penalties. And it really wasn't. It's a blocking penalty, so it's a 10-yard penalty now. So instead of 15, it's going to be less severe. Illegal touching. I would like to get the video. Try to find 2841. Okay, illegal touching. Again. Okay, yeah, illegal touching. No originally eligible player while inbounds may intentionally touch a legal forward pass until it has touched an opponent or an official. Here's what changed. It used to be a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Now it's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot plus loss of down. So you got a loss of down. Here's the situation. The play that I wanted to show is out here. It is Alabama. Watch this guy right here. He's ineligible because he's covered up. Now watch what he does. If we can get it to go. Anyway, the ball's going to be snapped. He's going to come back. Alabama's famous for this play. He's going to come back here, and he's supposed to get a backwards pass, which if he got a backwards pass, everything would be good because he's eligible. Here we go. But you can clearly see the pass is forward. So that makes, so if you'll stop it as soon as it catches it. Can you stop it? Okay. So anyway, that last year we would have called that intentional ground. I mean, we would have called that we would have called it intentional grounding because there was no eligible receiver in the area to receive the ball. So it would have been a spot foul at the spot of the pass and loss of down. Now this year we're going to call that illegal touching because that player was ineligible, even though he's number 8. He's ineligible to touch the ball because of his position. He was covered up by the wideout. So we're going to call that illegal touching. So in this case, this year it would be 5 yards from the previous spot plus loss of down. Now let's say that wideout was over there next to this guy. He was in the area. Then we would call that intentionally grounding because we had an eligible receiver in the area. It wouldn't be loss of down in that case. It would just be, well, it would be. It wouldn't be a loss of 5 yards. It would be loss of down from where the quarterback threw the ball. So, okay. On the defensive holding. This is one that, it's 30-13 if you can find it. This is one that I thought should have been changed a long time ago. But up until this year in college, in order to get our NCAA, which trickles down to UIL, in order to get a first, here we go, in order to get a first down on a holding call, the ball, it had to be a pass in advance of the neutral zone. The foul had to occur in advance of the neutral zone. And then you could get, it had to be on an eligible receiver. Then you could get a first down. You had holding on the eligible receiver, 10 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down. Now, any defensive holding, I don't care if it's on a kick, a pass, a run, or whatever, it's 10 yards and an automatic first down. And you can see it right here. Here's a play right here. Watch what happens here. Okay, that guy gets held right there by 84. The Georgia guy holds the guy right there. So let's say that the quarterback got dunked for a loss or something like that. In this, which he does, and he throws the ball, I believe. But let's just say he gets dunked or runs out of bounds for a 5-yard loss. Well, in last year we would have gone, and let's say it was more than second and 5. Say it was 3rd and 15. Last year we would have gone penalized 10 yards. It would have been 3rd and 5. This year we're going to go penalized. It would be 1st and 10 after we penalize 15 yards because any defensive holding generates an automatic first down plus the 10 yards. So that's a pretty big one. I think you would agree.
Larry?
Yeah.
Are these rules going to apply to high school and college?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go over the ones that won't apply to UIL. Just to say, well, the feigning and injury will not apply to UIL. In other words, like in a college game, if we got a guy that goes, like they're losing the game and the time's running out and all of a sudden he just drops to the ground, we're not going to penalize him or anything like that, but we'll turn it into the league office and then the league office will handle it through the school or whatever. So, but in UIL, they're not going there. They're not doing that. And then the other exception, and I texted Coach Metzel this morning about this. The UIL is doing away with the 40-second clock after kickoffs and touchdowns. And I found out the reason for that was that rule was designed to speed up the college game. Well, the high school game never needed speeding up because it goes pretty quick anyway. But for some reason, the UIL adopted the rule 4 or 5 years ago, and they've been playing that way for the last 3 or 4, or however many years it's been. Well, they decided they don't need that, so they're not doing that anymore. So those are the two those are the two exceptions to this year's rule changes that I could find. So, there might be a couple more, but I don't know what they are. Okay, let's go, number 6, the 3429 point. This is unsportsmanlike conduct, and what we're doing here is the enforcement spot for the penalty of unsportsmanlike conduct fouls is aligned with the enforcement for personal fouls on pass plays. On successful pass plays, the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty may now be added to the end of the last run by the offense if there's no change in team position during the down to ensure the foul is penalized. So here it is right here. So what they did was that's just leave it there, that's next. But on the unsportsmanlike conduct, like on a personal foul, let's say we had a pass play and we had a roughing the passer on a pass play, and the play gained 25 yards, and we threw a flag for roughing the passer. For the last couple of years, we were able to tack that 15-yard penalty onto the end of the run. So if the run ended at the 25-yard line of Team B, which is the defense, then we would go to the 12.5 and set it up first and go first and 10 from the 12.5. On unsportsmanlike conduct fouls, we weren't able to do that. Now we can do that. So if we have a pass play and we have a guy act a fool somewhere, like taunt a guy, like if the quarterback throws the ball and the guy and he falls down and the guy stands over him and taunts him, we can add that to the end of the run now, because that's an unsportsmanlike. And that's all that is. Okay, number 7, targeting. Well, let's get defenseless player. Okay, defenseless player. This was an editorial change, and the quarterback right here is in he's going to be in what we call a passing posture. So if we let it run, now this is not a foul, but we'll pretend like right there. Okay, so that's not targeting or anything, but what the quarterback is in a passing posture with his focus downfield. That's what they added this year. If he's in a passing posture with his focus downfield, then he's considered a defenseless player. And there's about 13 or 14 categories of defenseless players. But they just added, and the quarterback passing the ball, or just after passing the ball, was 1. But now they've added the fact that if he's focused downfield, right there, he's a defenseless player. That's a legal hit on him. Okay, number 7. Target.
That's like a sack. You can't do what's called a sack.
Yeah, you can do a sack. You just that play was legal. What it is that you can't foul him. In other words, if it gets into targeting, and I'll cover that just right now. We're going into targeting. Okay, there's 2 types of targeting. In the instant replay, we don't need. There's 2 types of targeting. There's 913, which is crown a helmet. And there's 914, which is on a defenseless player. Hits on a defenseless player. So Steve, what you're talking about here, if that guy, the defender, would have launched himself into the, with forcible contact into the quarterback in the head or neck area, then we could have had a targeting there. But he went in head up, and so it was legal. So that's considered hit on a defenseless player. Okay, so targeting. 913, crown a helmet. Okay, up until this year, we considered from above the eye visors or eye shields, wherever they are, we considered that the crown of the helmet all the way around, okay? Or not, from the top down to here. This year, what they've done is they've said that the crown of the helmet is from a point in the middle of the helmet, a 3-inch, you take a compass and stick it out to 3 inches, and draw a circle, that's the crown of the helmet. So it's a 6-inch area up here on the top of the helmet that's considered the crown of the helmet. So now if I come in and I hit Coach Metzel with the down here, if I hit him with down here with the front of my helmet right here, it's not targeting. It has to be, one of the sayings we say is eyes to thighs. If you got eyes to thighs, you got crown of helmet most likely, okay? So, but they've redefined what the crown of the helmet is. So it's supposed to make it easier for us. If there's any doubt, it's probably going to be a targeting. But, that's in replay, we can correct that. On the high school level, they can't correct it. You're just going to have to live with what they call. So, and the changes in targeting has nothing to do with the UIL. They're not taking this. It's a penalty adjustment and college on how they're gonna handle the guy that's got to sit out for the next game. So it really doesn't affect the UIL. And that's about it. Now I was gonna show you. We've got about 5 minutes. I was gonna show you a play from the Kansas State Oklahoma game last year, just to show you how the rules get changed. And actually, I've got that pulled. Well, never mind. It's too hard to do. What happened was, briefly, what happened was the Kansas State kicker went and tried an onside kick, and when he kicked the ball, the back of the ball came up and hit his heel. And then it went 10 yards, and Kansas State recovered the ball. And so the officials on the field ruled that Kansas State had the ball 1st and 10 on the 46-yard line going towards Oklahoma's goal line. Well, Coach, I can't think of his name. Yeah. Coach Riley called timeout. He wanted to challenge that. And so replay can get involved. The way we can get involved is we can get involved if the ball was touched before it was legally able to be touched. So we, replay looked at it and said, well, replay stopped the game. And they looked at it and they said, it was touched 10 yards in advance, it's illegal, we're going. Well, then Coach Riley calls the timeout. Now, the rule last year said that the coach could not challenge a play that had already been determined by replay. Well, but he called timeout. He said, I know that the kicker touched that ball twice. So sure enough, replay gets back in looking, because they weren't even looking at that. They were looking 10 yards down the field. So the replay officials got working, and they saw that ball had hit the heel of the kicker, which means OU's going to get the ball, and we're at Kansas State. Not my crew, but the game's at Kansas State. So that means Kansas State went from getting the ball 1st and 10 on the 46 to it being OU's ball 1st and 10 on the 36 of Kansas State going toward Kansas State's goal line. So what they did was they didn't change a rule, but it does change a rule, because now a coach can officially challenge that if that aspect of the play hadn't been considered, if that aspect of the play wasn't considered, then that coach could challenge that play and have it looked at. Whereas last year they couldn't do it, even though there was a Rule 1237 that allows us to go in and correct any egregious happenings that are going on out there, and that's what they did. They came in and changed it, but they used 1237 to do it, which again, so they changed a rule because of that one play right there. And that's how rules get changed from year to year. Is plays happen to different coaches, and they get it changed. So that's basically how it is.
We just got a minute, but we know you're in the Texas Referee Hall of Fame. You ran up and down the field for many years. Now that you've gotten old, tell the group what you do now.
Well, I'm in Conference USA as a replay official. I'm what they call a communicator. And my job in the booth is I have a replay official that's working with me. He's looking at a monitor. I've got a monitor. But my primary job is looking at the field. I'm the eyes on the field. So I'm telling him, this is exactly what I do. Let's say it's 1st down and 10 from the 25. I'll say, okay, we got the clock's running. We've got the clock good. The play clock's good. We got 1st down and 25. We got to go to the 35 for a 1st down. Then I'll stop. I'll say, they're coming to the line. Snap, quarterback, handoff. Again to the 28-yard line. We got set. Oh, there's a flag. I got a flag on the field. Possible target. Or I might say, if we have a run down the sideline and he gets close to the sideline, I'll say, we got smoke, I got smoke. And I'll say it just like that. I got smoke, the runner out of bounds, or the runner on the sideline. He'll take a look at it. Then if he can't immediately see it, then he says, stop the game. And I've got a headset on, communicating with all the officials on the field. And I say, stop the game, stop the game, stop the game. And the game stops. That's when the referee comes over and the previous play is under further review. When that happens, that means we're up in the booth looking at the monitor. I look at the monitor some, but basically I'm looking at the field still. I'm telling him what's going on the field. Now this year, we're gonna have a new system, it's called a quad system. We're gonna have 4 views of the play at one time, so we'll be able to make a quicker determination if we need to stop the game or not. So, but that's basically what I do. They pay me a lot of money to talk about a football game for 3 hours, which I don't mind talking about football games, as you know. So, anyway, any other questions? Sorry about the trouble with the video, but that's technology.
We're blaming on Brandon.
Oh, he was good. Appreciate it, thanks.
You know, the great thing about Larry coming to visit for all of us who are football playing, I do understand the game better as well as in the rule changes. The downside is sitting in the stands every week by my father, and when he thinks that they called a bad play, and I explain to him, no, Larry said, it doesn't go very well.
What's bad is when Coach Metzel's out there, he said, well, Larry told us we could do this. And the guy said, I don't think usually they go, well, he trained me.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Larry. It's always a special treat for us.
Me too, I really enjoy it.
August the 23rd,